have you join us once again. It's a special 60-minute session that promises to be revealing. And we have a personality visiting today that promises to put on the table facts that may be very central to the political process that leads up to the 2022 gubernatorial elections in Ekiti State. He was pioneer publicity secretary of the Pan-Yoruba group, Afenifere, a member of NADECO. And NADECO, if you remember, was a group of patriots who spearheaded Nigeria's return to democracy in 1999. He was a former chairman of SUBEB here in Ekiti State, a former chairman of council of Ekiti State University, and a former senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He's a lawyer, he's a journalist, and a businessman. And it's a pleasure to welcome the national coordinator of the Southwest Agenda 2023, Prince Adedayo Adeyeye.
Thank you for having me.
I'd like you to know that this has been simulcast as well on Progress 100.5 FM. And we're also live on Facebook. So if you'd like to join us, if you have comments and opinions, you may want to join us at some point in this program. My name is Donald Falai. Let's not waste any more time. Let's cast our minds back to pre-1999. I know your politics predates 1999. You were with NADECO, Afenifere, and the rest of them. And looking back at those many years cumulatively now, any regrets whatsoever?
Absolutely no regrets. My interest in politics started way back around 1983 when I had the privilege to interview the late Chief Obafemi Awolowo as the then features editor of Punch newspapers. I got a lot of inspiration from him, and that spurred my interest in politics. But I actually began taking making active participation in politics when I was appointed as the deputy director of publicity of the Olufala Presidential Campaign Organization in 1990. Subsequently, I directed the publicity department of the campaign, and I had the privilege, after Chief Olufala and other co-contestants for president were banned in 1992, and Chief M.K. Abiola came on board. I also had the privilege to serve him as the advisor, media and policy for the campaign, M.K. Abiola presidential campaign. And we work assiduously to make him win not only the primaries, but also the general elections. Unfortunately, that election was annulled. It was the freest and the fairest election in the history of Nigeria. And I believe that even up to now, we have not had any election that is as free and fair as that. So that led subsequently to a movement to the annulled election, which culminated in the formation of the National Democratic Coalition, which you call NADECO, of which I had the privilege of being a very active member. We thank God that our efforts ultimately led to the return of democracy to Nigeria. And I also had the privilege to serve as National Public Secretary of Afenifere, as the pioneer National Public Secretary, under the able leadership of Senator Chief Abraham Adesanya, with the late Uncle Bola as the deputy leader. I was the youngest member of that ESCO, of the ESCO, Executive Council of NADECO, of Afenifere. So, from there, I have contested several elections here in Ekiti State, 1999 for Senate, 2003. I also contested for governor in 2006. And then, of course, in 2007, I was nominated as a minister, approved by the late President Umaru Yar'Adua. My name forwarded to the Senate, unfortunately. So dark forces caused that name to be withdrawn. And I became the chairman of SUBEB. All along, I have also run for governor in 2013, 14, and also in 2018. But by and large, despite the ups and downs, the disappointments here and there, God has kept me standing. And therefore, I have no regrets.
Now, of this entire gamut of experiences that you've had in your lifetime, what is the single most important thing that you can take away from the system, the Nigerian political system? What is the single most important lesson you have learned?
One of the lessons I've learned is that the vast majority of those who are called politicians only come to the political arena to pull people down and to make sure that they believe that a lot of them have the idea that unless they pull people down, they can't have a way to move forward, which is a philosophy I do not share. I have never worked against such. I don't ever had that kind of idea, but I have suffered in the hand of people who have such dark minds in the past. But I always remember the injunction of Chief Obafemi Awolowo, which says that the essence in life is not to fall, but to rise every time you fall. So I always try to pick myself up and rise up and keep moving. Every time it seems that I've fallen, I always try to rise up. And I thank God that has been the case with me. So despite all the evil machinations of evil people who think that we are obstacle to their progress, that without bringing us down, they can achieve what they want to achieve. God has kept us going.
That's our introduction this evening, and it's a pleasure to have you join us. If you're just tuning in, this is Voice 89.9 FM. This simulcast is also taking place on Progress 100.5 FM, and of course also on Facebook. We have Prince Adedayo Adeyeye, an aspirant, a governorship aspirant of the APC in the seat this evening. Now, let's look at your return to the camp of the progressives, so to speak, in 2018. I mean, it wasn't totally a surprise. You started out your life politically amongst the progressives, so it was only a matter of time that you would return there. Now, looking back at everything that has happened since 2018, do you think you made the right choice?
Of course, I think I made the right choice. God used me immensely to bring Dr. Adeyeye to power. People of this state can bear that one out. Without our support, I'm not sure he would have been governor of the state today. But I thank God that we are able to, we have a formidable group and we work assiduously for his success. And God answered our prayers and became governor of the state. So to that extent, I do not have any regrets. I do not have any regrets. There was somebody in this state who thought of himself as who was going to replace God Almighty in the life of the Ekiti people, who was already arrogating to himself the power of God and was pointing to people that he was going to make them governor. And we thought that's the power that only God Almighty can exercise. And so whatever action we took, we have no regrets whatsoever. There is no absolute. I have no regrets.
Now, there is this question at the tip of my tongue that I would come back to, but let's delve into the larger issues. There is this big one making the rounds in your party, especially in the last several weeks or so, which is about zoning. For instance, Ekiti South Senatorial District as a whole has been clamoring now from groups here and groups there, asking that it was time that the next governor of the state should come from the Southern Senatorial District of the state. What's your position
I think it's a legitimate agitation. It's legitimate agitation. The idea of zoning in Ekiti State was introduced by Dr. Adeyeye and his supporters in 2006. I am not the one that started the idea of zoning. They brought the idea of zoning and they came to Ekiti and organized what they call a conference on not agenda. And they said it was the not agenda. And it made a lot of loud noise. They agitated, they clamored for it. The noise was so loud that the leadership of both the then AD and PDP bought into the idea, such that the candidates of the two major parties ultimately in the election were from the north. That is Segun Oni and Kayode Fayemi. The agitation was so serious, very severe. And my argument at that point in time was that it was not a fair argument. It was not a fair agitation. Because as of that time, only the central had produced governors in Ekiti State. In the person of Dayo Adeyeye, who managed the affairs of the state from 1999 to 2003, and Fayoshi, who also took over from 2003 and was on seat at that point in time. The South had not produced any governor since the creation of the state up to that time. Neither had they not produced governor. And my argument at that point in time was that instead of making it a North agenda, it should have been a North-South agenda. So whoever produced the governor in that year, of course, we know that, of course, either of the South or the North, in short, had the right to produce the governor in 2006, 2007. But they seem to have won the argument, or I would say they even actually won the argument, because ultimately many of us were played out of the game completely in 2006, such that it actually led a person like me in protestation to move from the party to another one. So then I saw that the primaries were manipulated. It's a matter of history. Those who are here know that primary was totally manipulated in 2006. So, and I thought that a party I had fought for, that I worked for, that I was part of the formation of that party, could do such terrible things to people like me, and the party that claims to be for democracy will be totally undemocratic in the choice of its candidates. So, but however, the argument for Sony in Ekiti, like I was saying, is very legitimate. Now look at it this way. Some people will argue, they will say Ekiti is a homogeneous entity, and so there should be no division. We are one and the same, so it doesn't matter. My reply to that is this. First, I mentioned the argument that these people who are now saying this were the one that started it.
Okay, who benefited
from it are the one that are now saying it. They benefited from it, and they now say the Sony is no longer important. It's not a factor in the politics. But they have already benefited from it, such that today, by the time Dr. Adeyeye completes his tenure in October this year, the North would have had 12 years in the governorship of the state. The Central already had done 12 years, and the South has done nothing. And these were people who are saying not agenda in 2006. And since then now, they would have done 12 years. And the South has produced nothing, not done any year at all. They have not had the opportunity of producing the governor. Now, I make this, I say, if you are even in a family, assuming you are from a polygamous family, and you have 4 wives, are you saying that it's only the children of a particular wife that will be entitled to the inheritance of the father?
No.
And the children from the other wives will not be entitled. Even if let us people assume it is a polygamous family, a monogamous family with just one wife, and you have 4 children, or 5 children, or 3 children, are you saying that only one person should be entitled to the inheritance of that particular family? Because after all, they are all
from the same father, the same mother.
So why bother? Are you not of the same blood? You are the same father, the same mother. Let this man carry away everything. How absurd would that argument be? And when you come to the political arena, in this state we call Ekiti, even in the choice of councillors, where 2 or 3 local communities are involved, jointly form a ward, they rotate the councillorship among themselves.
Just to allow for some semblance of equity.
Yes, of equity. And the sound close, and that rotation is never violated.
But how about
local level?
But how about this argument that at no time in any election cycle had the South not produced aspirants, put it that way, that at every turn in any election cycle, the South, after all, has always produced aspirants.
We have always had somebody coming out from the South. Yeah. Fine. But what has always happened is that the authorities, because of this argument, have always tilted the primaries towards that side they want to win it. That was the situation in 2006. Yeah. Even in Ekiti, as of today, when the governor has already picked somebody, whether he denies it or not, the whole world, you can't fool everybody. Everybody in this state knows that you already anointed the candidate, and they are using government machinery in his favor. That's what happens all the time. When they make this argument, they will now they use all resources, all the apparatus of power to back that particular candidate. Okay. So the South candidate is always disadvantaged because there is no the powers that be do not actually reckon with them or do not want to back them. So that has always been the case. Of course, people can come out from the South. But if the argument has been made and the authorities have already accepted that the government should come from this side, everything is tilted towards that side. Okay. You see, there is a kind, what I would call, maybe I'm short of language here in this particular, what I would say, a kind of government anointment of that particular candidate. The authorities, the power that be, moving and using everything to favor that particular candidate. Okay. That has always been the case. So candidates can come from the South. Aspirants can come from the South. The authorities always twist the power to decide on those they want. Okay. So that's not a valid argument. The argument will be that, okay, like the case in 1999 in this country, Abiola election was annulled. And many people felt it was because he was a Yoruba person. And so by the time we returned to democracy in 1999, the authorities in Nigeria, I am a part of the process, I can say it authoritatively, I'm part of that historical process. The authorities in Nigeria, Absalami government, decided that the two presidential candidates must come from the Southwest to compensate the Southwest. Otherwise, how is it possible for Obasanjo to contest against Falai? So I am saying also that in this particular context, if you feel that the South has been cheated, the two political parties should have made very conscious effort to make sure that their two candidates come directly from the South. Yeah.
Now, in order not to dwell too much on this matter, but let's just put it somewhere. Let's keep it somewhere. But then the question would be, to what extent, how far is the South willing to go with this agitation?
I do not know. The South, you see, we Ekitis, there is no area of this state that is more disadvantaged than the other in terms of education or in terms of qualified people. What you have always had is a situation in which the authorities in this state, the powers that be, consciously work against the candidates of the South, the aspirants from the South. So I believe that this time around, the South should be prepared to collectively move from the level of agitation into practical action in terms of their vote, not only in the primaries, but also in the general election. They should be able to demonstrate practically that yes, they have the medical strength to decide, to treat things, to decide where the pendulum of power, where the pendulum of power will swing in this state. So I will implore the people of the South to become united, to come together. Because the way this government, the president, the way the two political parties are going in this state, they want to divide the Ekiti people permanently if care is not taken. You are trying to create second-class citizens out of the people of Ekiti, out of one section of Ekiti state. And that will not be fair. And that will only lead to more agitation, to division, to acrimony and discord in the future. And I'm saying that in order to avert that, we need to be fair to all sections of the state by allowing the people in the South, even at least at this critical moment, to have a shot at the governorship of the state.
Well, the All Progressives Congress is the party in the center, the ruling party in the country, and we know about the efforts of the National Assembly to start with that tried to enshrine positions for direct primaries in the law books of the country, but that, of course, met with some brick wall in that the president did not accent to it, and the National Assembly has been told to go back to the drum board and look at that document again. But then we have a primary election coming up shortly in Ekiti. The question would be direct or indirect. But first, what's your position on these two polar divides?
My position is that after almost 23 years of democracy, this democratic experience, we should be moving towards more democratization. We should be opening the spaces of mass participation in the political process. So, I am for direct primaries. I am absolutely for direct primaries. Direct primaries means that every person who is a member of the party has the opportunity to participate in electing the flag bearer of the party. Every person. And I do not think that you cannot say that picking a few, just a microcosm of the entire of the membership of the party, to have that one responsibility, that great responsibility is fair. It's not. Those who are delegates now are not up to maybe 2% of the population of the party or the membership of the party, and they are the one that will determine the fate of the party.
And by extension, the fate of the state.
And by extension, the fate of the state. So I do not think that is fair enough. We say we have copied this we have modeled our own democracy after that of the United States of America. In fact, already now, 2 political parties have gradually evolved in Nigeria. 2 major political parties have gradually evolved in Nigeria, just like in America. But in America, if we say we are modeling our system after them, we should be able to then copy them. Copy them to a large extent. In America, all members of the political parties participate in their primaries. Sometimes they even allow those who are non-members to participate in the primaries. So, closing the door against the generality of the people is not democratic. It's not fair. And then you will now ask them to come and vote for you in general election, whereas they did not participate in choosing you, choosing the choice of the party. So, I am for direct primaries. And luckily, unfortunately enough, the APC has in its constitution 3 ways by which flag bearers can be selected or elected. Number 1 is by consensus. Number 2 is by indirect primaries. And number 3 is by direct primaries. If consensus is not available, I will urge my party, the APC, to go for direct primaries to ensure mass participation of the people of Ekiti State. I remember in the last election in 2018, some of the places we went to campaign for Dr. Adeyeye, some of them were resisting. Even members of the party, they were saying they did not participate in collecting all those huge monies, huge amounts that delegates collected during the primaries. And so why are you coming now to say I should work for the party? I think we should avoid that kind of situation. Give everybody in the party a sense of belonging. Make them feel important, that they're part of the process. So I will urge the national leadership of the party to decide to go for direct primaries in Ekiti State. Already they use direct primaries in Anambra. They used it in Ogun State in the last election. They used it in Lagos. They have used it in more states. They have used the direct primaries more times than the indirect primaries.
Okay.
And so they have gained valuable experience. Right. And I want to ask them that they should decide in favor of direct primaries. And then what we should then do, if the decision is made in favor of direct primaries, is to ensure that it is free and fair. And so people don't go to one corner and write the results. And in that case, they should call all the stakeholders together, and we have ideas that we can suggest to them to make sure that the process is free and fair. I want to tell you that any process that produces somebody freely and fairly, if that process, any candidate that emerges from that process freely and fairly, will be widely supported by everybody, including all the fellow contestants. But where you have written the names of people under the table, in the corner of your room, and they are now the delegates who will decide, it is not fair to the entirety of the party. So I am all for direct primaries.
Okay. Now, still on, but the one that interests me the most is the APC approaching this primary election as a solid family in Ekiti?
Well, it is normal that when you are approaching the primary election like this, there will be a lot of tension and division and all that, as each of the aspirants just to for the vote of
relevance and positions and everything.
The vote of the people, and all that. But if the process is fair, if the process is free, if people feel they have not been shortchanged, if people truly believe that, okay, yes, they have not, the system has not in any way worked against them, I think they will be ready to come together in unity to work for the good of the party. So this tension that we are going through is normal. We have seen it several times. But to bring everybody back together will be easier, like I said before, if we allow free and fair primaries in which all the members of the parties participate. That will make the conciliation easier. Yeah.
Well, if you're just joining us, it's a special 60-minute session which terminates at 7 p.m., which features a former Minister of State for Works in the country, Prince Adedayo Adeyeye, who is also getting ready to vie for the position of governor in the coming elections sometime later this year. And we've been looking at issues. One that interests me at this material time would be to know the state of your mind. I mean, you've had quite a number of disappointments in your career. In fact, for a lot of people, someone who started out in the 80s and has seen the percent, just probably a fraction of the things that you've experienced, will probably say, enough is enough, let me go hang my boots, so to speak. But what keeps you going? What drives you?
I said to you at the beginning that the important thing is not in not falling, but to rise every time you fall. You don't lay prostrate there and then looking helpless. You try to pick yourself up, and with the help of God Almighty, you rise up again and more. But really, the thing that has kept me going is my desire to make my own impact in the politics of this country, particularly my total commitment to seeing that Ekiti State takes its rightful place among the states of Nigeria as one of the most developed. I want to make my urge to make a big contribution, and which I think inside of me, with total honesty, that I can make better impact than what we have ever seen before, keeps me going. That it's a duty I need to perform to my people. Honestly, if it is to live your life, to eat, and to live normally, I think by God Almighty, God has blessed me in that respect. But the urge to serve, to make an impact, to make a difference, to let people know that we can achieve greatness, kept me going. And that has been the main tonic that keeps on, the fuel that keeps on firing me, to keep on moving, to say, okay, I cannot close my eyes and allow things to go on this way. I want to make an impact, and I want people to know that I will make an impact. People say that when they saw me as chairman of SUBEP in Ekiti State, they never saw anything like that before. And as I departed, nothing like that again. That's a testimony. And I want to say that if by God's grace I have the chance to become the governor of the state, people will begin to say, so things could have been like this. It will be a new dawn, a new era. And I believe that the crushing poverty that our people are going through, by the grace of God, we'll be able to elevate it and make a major impact and difference. Despite all the challenges we are having, we can face it head on with total dedication and commitment, and we can achieve a lot for the people of the state. That is the major thing that keeps me going. The urge to serve, to make that impact, and to leave a legacy behind that generations yet unborn can be proud of.
Ọ̀dà ẹ ṣeun ọmọọba Adedayo Adeyeye fún àtúntòní tí ẹ ti ń bá wọn ọmọ ìpínlẹ̀ Èkìtì sọ̀rọ̀ láti àárọ̀. Ìbéèrè eléyìí tí ń béèrè nígbà tí ẹ ń sọ̀rọ̀ ní èdè ìbólẹ̀ kan lórí ọ̀rọ̀ bí àwọn tó wà ní apá gúúsù ìpínlẹ̀ Èkìtì bí wọ́n sì ti ń jà raburabu pé àwa lọ́kàn ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn olùdíje náà ni ó jẹ́ pé wọ́n ti ń fèròǹgbà hàn ní apá gúúsù Èkìtì àti pé kì í ṣe àkọ́kọ́ rí tó jẹ́ pé àwọn èèyàn ti ẹ̀ jáde pé ẹ jẹ́ kí apá gúúsù náà kó ṣe ìgbà tẹ́sí ń sọ̀rọ̀ ẹni ó dàbí pé wọ́n ti rẹ́ apá gúúsù Èkìtì jẹ. Agbọ́lá ìpẹ́ pé ẹ ṣe ìpàdé láàrin ara yín ẹ̀yin tó jẹ́ bíi láìwo ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú kan, ǹjẹ́ a lè sọ wípé apá gúúsù Èkìtì ti ṣe tán lóòótọ́ àbí ariwo lásán ni wọ́n pa?
Èmi ò lè sọ nǹkan kan nípa yẹn. Wọ́n ṣe ìpàdé lóòótọ́, kì í ṣe àwọn ọmọ apá gúúsù nìkan ló wà ń bẹ̀. Àwọn tó wá láti gbogbo ìpínlẹ̀ wa yìí náà àti ní gbogbo náà tán wá síbẹ̀, àwọn tí wọ́n fẹ́ rere Èkìtì, tí wọ́n gbàgbọ́ pé kò yẹ ká máa túra wa jẹ àbí ká máa yanra wa jẹ, tí wọ́n wá láti center tán wá láti mọ gbogbo náà lọ́wọ́ abẹ́ wọ́n dẹ̀ sọ pé ẹ jẹ́ ká jẹ́ káwọn ìlara bí Èkó lọ ẹni tí ó máa ń fẹ́ rere Èkìtì tí ò fẹ́ kí Èkìtì dàrú wọ́n ní ẹnìkan ò lè máa jẹ́ kílẹ̀ ò fẹ́ so ẹ lè sọ pé àwọn kan nìkan lá máa ṣe nǹkan lọ kí ní gbogbo èèyàn dẹ̀ máa dùn sí àti wá dé ẹ máa wò ó sìn tán bá wo àwọn tó ti ń ṣe ìjọba tán bá ti máa ṣe serious staff SSG gbogbo ẹ̀ ibi tán ti wá àwọn yẹn náà ti ń kó wọn káàkiri ìgbà tó bá dẹ̀ wá pẹ́ ẹ̀ wá rí pé apá ibì kan ò tẹ̀ wá léèyàn rárá ó ti wá ń dé wípé kó jẹ́ wípé tá a bá tiẹ̀ ń sọ wípé ká mú àwọn ọmọ Èkìtì jáde tó lè ṣe nǹkan ibi tí wọ́n ti ṣe rí wọn yẹn tí wọ́n ẹ̀dẹ̀ fún wọn ní nǹkan kan rí wọn ń dáwọn èèyàn mọ́ kó má wá di pé àwa ń sọ pé àwọn kan lẹ́kìtì wọ́n ṣe Èkìtì gidi ìyẹn là ń jà fún pé kó má rí bẹ́ẹ̀ so gbogbo àwọn bàbá wa ló dẹ̀jọ́ jà fún Èkìtì parapọ̀ wọ̀ láyé àtijọ́ ní ìsẹ̀ Èkìtì tí mo ti wá wọ́n jà kútakúta fún Èkìtì parapọ̀ wọ̀ àwọn èèyàn lọ síbẹ̀ wọ́n lọ jagun ẹ wá dé ń sìn ẹ wá ní àwọn ọmọ wọn lè tó bẹ́ẹ̀ náà láti ṣe gómìnà ìyẹn ò lè yẹ ò dáa ẹ fẹ́ bà Èkìtì jẹ́ nìyẹn so ìkan tá à ń sọ ni pé ẹ̀dẹ̀ ń lo ẹ wá sọ pé ẹ ti bí àwọn ọmọ gúúsù náà máa ń jáde ọmọ gúúsù jáde ń sìn ẹ̀yìn gbé gbogbo gómìnà lóun ti fọwọ́ sẹ́nìkan gbogbo agbára ẹ̀ ní gọ́ọ̀mẹ̀ntì kò sí jẹ́ nìyẹn ṣé tá a bá fẹ́ gbá bọ́ọ̀lù ọ̀ ká tẹ̀ sọ pé wàá fẹ́ mi mọ orí eré tí mo lè fi wé tí o ti kó gbogbo nǹkan sí ọ̀dọ̀ ẹnìkan ṣé fair contest nìyẹn ṣé a lè sọ pé yẹn dáa nígbà tí a ti kó gbogbo nǹkan gọ́ọ̀mẹ̀ntì ìjọ tí ẹni yẹn lòun lọ gba ìwé tá a fi díje gbogbo mọ́tò ìjọba lẹni kó máa tẹ̀lé gbogbo àwọn ìjọba lẹni kó máa tẹ̀lé gbogbo nǹkan ìjọba lẹni lò fún bóyá owó ìjọba gan lẹni náà fún.
ṣùgbọ́n ìjọba tó wà lóde yìí ní àwọn ò ṣe àtìlẹ́yìn fún olùdíje kankan.
tó bá ń tanra ẹ̀ ṣé àwọn Èkìtì tanra wọn ni. pẹ̀lú ìsọjú yẹn tó bá ń tanra ẹ̀ ó tọ́ Èkìtì jẹ́ o ara ẹ̀ ló ń tàn jẹ́ tó bá sọ yẹn ẹni tó bá sọ bẹ́ẹ̀ ó tanra ẹ̀ jẹ́ kì í ṣe Èkìtì ló ń tàn jẹ́ àwọn Èkìtì gbọ́n jù yẹn lọ wọ́n fojú wọn rí nǹkan tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ wọ́n fi tí gbọ́n nǹkan tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ wọ́n dẹ̀ rí nǹkan tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ so wọ́n mọ̀ pé irọ́ ni.
a jẹ́ pé lọ́dún 2018 tó jẹ́ pé wọ́n ní àdéhùn ó wà wípé ìgbà tí wọ́n fẹ́ ṣètò ìdìbò ọdún 2008 pé àdéhùn wà wípé tó bá di ọdún 2022 gúúsù lọ́kàn ṣé a lè wò pé àdéhùn ti fẹ́ yẹ̀ báyìí ní àbíbò.
àdéhùn gómìnà Fáyẹmí báyìí mi pàápàá ní àdéhùn yẹn bẹ́ẹ̀ ni mò ń sọ ní gbangba ó bá mi ní àdéhùn yẹn mi ọmọọba Adedayo Adeyeye gómìnà méjì ló wà ń bẹ̀ tí wọ́n lè jẹ́rìí sí wípé tó bá di ọdún 2022 torí mo béèrè lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀ ń gbà ẹ̀ mo ní ẹni kí n tún support ẹ̀ ń sìn ìwọ tó wá láti òkè lọ́hùn apáta ẹbí ńkọ́ láti ní àdéhùn pé ọ̀dọ̀ tiwa ló máa kàn nílé tó ń bọ̀ àwọn yẹn ò kì í ṣerú ẹnikẹ́ni ó dẹ̀ lóun fọwọ́ sí pé ọ̀dọ̀ wa ló kàn àwọn gómìnà méjì wà ń bẹ̀ níjọ́ tó sọ̀rọ̀ ẹ̀ so àdéhùn wà òótọ́ ni pé ọ̀dọ̀ wa ló kàn ṣùgbọ́n wọ́n tú àdéhùn ẹ̀ sọnù kò dẹ̀ yẹ kó rí bẹ́ẹ̀ yìí pé àwa tá a bá tọ́lọ́run bá gbé dé ipò wọ̀nyí ká máa ṣàdéhùn ká bá lè mú ṣẹ kí làwọn afẹ́ káwọn tí àwọn táwọn ìjọba lé lórí kí làwọn afẹ́ kàn ṣe irú ẹ̀kọ́ wo là ń káwọn ọmọ tó wà nílé ìwé tí wọ́n bá ṣe àdéhùn wọn fagídí mú ẹ láti ṣe ó máa mú ṣẹ ni nítorí náà mò ń sọ ló gbangba àdéhùn wà.
Well, if you're just tuning in, it's some 25 minutes before 7, so we still have...
No, on Tuesday, the 11th of January, we are going to make a formal declaration for the position of Governor of Ekiti State. Okay. It's a formal declaration. We are on it. We are already campaigning. We are already talking to our people. But that will be a formal declaration. It's a ritual we want to go through. We want a ceremony we have to go through. And that's just about it. And we expect people from all over the state to join us in making it a special day. So I'm asking people all over the state, Nado Ekiti, Nikere Ekiti, all the local governments in the state to troop out to join us as we march through the streets of Ado Ekiti and make that formal announcement to the people of Ekiti State.
ọ̀dà ní ọjọ́ ìṣẹ́gun tó ń bọ̀ yìí náà ni ẹ fẹ́ jẹ́ káwọn èèyàn nípínlẹ̀ Èkìtì ọmọ èròǹgbà yín lórí ìdíje tẹ́ fẹ́ ṣe. Ìbéèrè tí mo wá fẹ́ béèrè rèé, ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn èèyàn náà ti ń wò tẹ́lẹ̀ nígboro wípé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn kan náà mètò jìjì tí wọ́n sọ pé àwọn ti rí pósítà wọn, wọ́n ti rí níbi báyìí wọ́n rò pé ọmọọba Adédayọ̀ Adéyẹyẹ ṣé wọ́n sì ń ṣeré lọ́wọ́ ni àbíbò sanfẹ́ pé wọ́n rí ìjàsá nígboro.
pósítà wa náà ti jáde, mo ti rí pósítà wa ní gbogbo bíi tèmi náà ti gbà lẹ́kìtì lẹ́nu ìjẹta sí ìjẹrin sí láti ọjọ́ kìíní ọdún yìí ni pósítà wa ti wà ní gbogbo ìgboro. Ẹni tó bá wà ní ìgboro á rí, bẹ́ẹ̀ tí mo gbọ́ lẹ́ni o wípé ibi tá a lẹ̀ àwọn pósítà wa pọ̀, àwọn kan tó ń rò pé àwọn ní agbára ìjọba wọ́n tún lọ ń lẹ̀ tí wọ́n mójú tiwa. Ṣé rí pé àwọn kan bẹ́ẹ̀ ò dáa, ìjà ló máa ń fà. Tèmi náà bá gbéra ń sì tí mo ní káwọn èèyàn tèmi, mo dẹ̀ láwọn èèyàn tó lè ṣe ibi kan lọ ya gbogbo ẹ̀sán nìkan. Èèyàn ti lẹ pósítà tiẹ̀, ẹ tún gbéra ẹ tún lọ lẹ̀ mí tìyín mójú tiẹ̀. Ayé pọ̀ tẹ́ lè lẹ pósítà tìyín sí, ẹ lọ ń lẹ̀ mọ́jú tiẹ̀. Àwọn kan tí ò dáa nìyẹn, torí pé gbà pé ẹ wà níjọba, ẹ lè gbà pé ìjọba máa wà lẹ́yìn yín, ṣùgbọ́n nǹkan lè dàrú o, àkànfẹ́ kí nǹkan dàrú. Mo sọ fún àwọn èèyàn mi, mo ní kán dákẹ́ kán má dá wọn lóhùn, ẹ tún lọ lẹ̀ mí síbi mi, ṣùgbọ́n àwọn nǹkan bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn ò dáa. So àwa ti lẹ pósítà wa, ẹ lè sọ pé ẹ rí bíbọ̀dù kankan ní ilé tá a ṣe ń ṣe lọ́wọ́ yìí, ọ̀rọ̀ bíbọ̀dù tí wàá tú ìpọ́tà bẹ́ẹ̀ á ń ṣe bíbọ̀dù náà. So ilé tó pẹ̀lú Nìkọ́lá ti ń díje yìí, so àmọ́ nǹkan tá à ń ṣe, àgbà ìpè lágbára Ọlọ́run, àwọn èèyàn ti gbọ́, wọ́n mọ̀ pé a jáde, àwọn ọmọ pátì wa wọ́n mọ̀ dáadáa.
Pẹ̀lú tí ó wà nínú ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú APC lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ báyìí, títú ìdìbò kò mẹ́sẹ̀ yọ tó sì ń bọ̀ lọ́nà, àti àwọn tí ó jẹ́ pé wọ́n jẹ́ ìkàn nínú ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú APC kan ó mọ̀ dàbí pé okùn mọ̀ gùn pọ̀, èrò mọ̀ pọ̀ ń bẹ̀.
Àwọn tó jáde lẹ́gbẹ́ òṣèlú APC wọn tó ti ẹgbẹ́ PDP, wọn tó bẹ́ẹ̀. Wọ́n náà pé àwọn tó jáde ní PDP lọ sí bíi 14 àbí 13 ní APC báyìí mẹ́rin kan ti ju bí 7 àbí 8 àbí 7. So bẹ́ẹ̀ tí ìyẹn kọ́ ni nǹkan tó ṣe pàtàkì. Nǹkan tó ṣe pàtàkì ni pé oníkálukú ẹnikẹ́ni ṣe mọ̀ pé òfin Nàìjíríà gba ẹnikẹ́ni láàyè tó bá ti kọjá ọdún, tó bá ti jọ ọmọ ọdún kan, tó ọmọ tó ti dé age kan láti lè jáde fún ipò gómìnà. So káàtó bá tẹ̀ ṣe ni wọ́n lè tó ogójì, ṣùgbọ́n ẹni tí àyọrí. So ó dáa bí wọ́n tẹ̀ ṣe, ó dáa bóyìnbó ṣe máa sọ wọ́n á ní the more the merrier, it's good. Ó dáa bí gbogbo wọn ṣe jáde, ìkọ̀ọ̀kan nínú wọn náà la máa bá àwọn èèyàn sọ̀rọ̀ nígboro tí ó dẹ̀ máa jẹ́ kí ẹgbẹ́ wa yẹn kórúkọ ẹ̀ túbọ̀ máa lọ sókè sí.
I know most of those, if not all, would be talking to people in clusters. If it's an indirect system, they will probably be talking to delegates. And if it's the larger one, which is direct, they'll be talking to a lot of party men in clusters across towns and villages and everything. I would like to ask, what is it you're saying? I mean, what would you like to say to your party men, your contemporaries at the moment?
What I want to say to my party men is that my clamor, my desire to occupy the position of governor of Ekiti is not born out of any selfish interest or personal aggrandizement. It is born out of a genuine commitment to serve the people of Ekiti State and make a difference in their lives. We want to prove to people that the kind of thing that Chief Obafemi Awolowo was able to achieve is still achievable even at this present time. We need, even if we don't achieve those things 100%, we can make a big difference, a big impact in the life of every person. I look at our youth, I look at our students, I look at the younger generation, and I look at the fact that there is no plan for their future, and I get very sad. I'm very, very sad about it. The kind of opportunities that I had when I left university, I graduated at the age of 21 in 1978. I see a lot of older people in the universities. But now I should have been expecting that people of 17, 18 should be graduating. And The kind of things that we enjoyed while we were in the university.
And non-existent anymore.
In every society, you expect that progress will be made.
Oh, of course.
Fathers will
bettering records.
Father will be saying, my children will enjoy better than me. But now the reverse is the case. Parents are telling children that this is what we enjoy. That children are opening their mouths and saying, is that possible? Could that have been? Oh, Nigeria must have been a paradise that time. That should not be the case. We need to reverse this trend. And to do that, we need those who are really committed to serving the people, who will make the people of this state the centerpiece of their policy. How to improve the life of the average Ekiti person, how to make this state develop. When you look, some people came to visit me from Delta State about 4 days ago. They went out to average Ekiti before they got to me, and they said there is nothing in the state. They don't read the conclusion. I could not contradict them. There's absolutely nothing in the state. And we shouldn't continue. There are very good Ekiti people who have made money, but all their investments are outside of this state. No government in the state have been able to attract them to come and invest here in Ekiti state. When God gave me the opportunity, I decided to do an investment here in Ekiti to be an example to others to come. And I'm happy now. So many people have followed suit in our footsteps. I have not seen my fellow politicians doing the same thing. Some of them actually have investment, but they're outside of this state. So, and my commitment is totally to this state. And that is why I want the people of my party, to give me the chance to go for the governorship. And I promise them that they will be proud of our achievements. They will be proud that they belong to the same party. And the people of the state will be grateful to God Almighty for allowing us to serve them. So, that's what I want to say to them. Some of the programs and agenda I developed as far back as 2006, when I first ran for position as governor, none of them have been implemented, and they are still there on the table. And I believe they are doable, and I believe that by the grace of God, when we have the opportunity, people will see what we are going to do.
Ọ̀dà ṣeun ọmọọba Adedayo Adeyeye, ìbéèrè tí mo fẹ́ béèrè ni pé kí lẹ lérò pé oyin jẹ lẹ́kìtì tó yẹ kí àmójútó dé bá, àbí ó yẹ kí, àbí bí ó sì yẹ bẹ́kìtì ṣe wà yìí ó tẹ́ àwọn ará Èkìtì lọ́rùn.
Kò lè tẹ́ àwọn èèyàn lọ́rùn. A máa ronú kọjá gbogbo bí àwọn ṣe ń ṣe yìí náà ni. Ẹni tó bá a máa ronú kọjá gbogbo wọn ṣe ń ṣe yìí ni. Wọ́n pe orílẹ̀-èdè kan ní Singapore. Wọ́n ní mineral resources kan. City state ni wọ́n, island ni wọ́n, nothing. Tán bá lọ wọn sókè pé ní nǹkan kan kò sí nǹkan tá a lè ṣe. Kí la fẹ́ ṣe mọ̀ pé àríbá àwọn yòókù tán ní oil, tán ní epo rọ̀bì, tán ní dis, wọ́n máa complain náà lè. Ìjọba wọn á dẹ̀ máa sọ fún wọn pé kò bá a lè ṣe délé yìí lọ. Ṣùgbọ́n Ọlọ́run bá wọn ṣe tí wọ́n ní àwọn olórí tó dáa tí wọ́n lè ronú ju gbogbo yẹn lọ. Wípé o bá àti ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ní kankan bíi àbúdọ̀ nílọsíwájú. Lọ́jọ́ yìí ní Singapore yẹn, afẹ́ jẹ́ òun ló ní highest standard of living in the world. Yeah. Excuse kan ní ìgbà tí a ti fọba fẹ́ àwọn ọlọ́rọ̀ tí ó ṣe gbogbo nǹkan ribiribi tó ṣe yẹn, kò máa sépo, kò máa sí oil, kò máa wo lówó epo oil, kòkó àti nǹkan gbogbo ọ̀pẹ àti oríṣiríṣi ló fi ṣe gbogbo ẹ̀. Ó náà lè sọ pé kò sí bí mo ti fẹ́ rí owó, kò sí. So àìsí òtítọ́, àìsí pé kí àwọn tó ń ṣe ìjọba kó má jẹ́ tara wọn ló ń rò, òun ló ń fa àìnílọsíwájú. Òun ló ń fa. Nísìnyí tí ẹni mi bá di gómìnà kan tó wọ́wọ́ fẹ́ ṣe níbi tá a máa gbé nínú government house bó ṣe máa dáa tó. Ṣùgbọ́n bàbá Awólọ́wọ̀ ilé ara ẹ̀ ló gbé lókè Àdó. Nígbà tó gbé tú àwọn tó fi ṣe premier, mọ́tò ara ẹ̀ ló ń gbò, gbogbo àwọn kan bẹ́ẹ̀ ló ń ṣe. Àwọn nǹkan tí ó ń jọ wá lójú wọ̀nyí kò yẹ kó máa jọ wá lójú. Nǹkan bí nǹkan ṣe máa rọrùn fáwọn ará ìlú ló yẹ kó ká wa lára. Ṣe yẹ kó ká wa lára ni. Nítorí náà mo ń rọ àwọn Èkìtì ni pé ọjọ́ ọ̀la ń bọ̀, torí tí gbogbo wa bá túbọ̀ kún sí àdúrà tá à ń gbàdúrà sọ́lọ́run, Ọlọ́run fún ara ẹ̀ á ṣàánú Èkìtì, á dẹ̀ gbẹni tó lè tún Èkìtì ṣe, agbésórí ipò.
Ọlọ́run ọba yóò ṣe àánú fún ìpínlẹ̀ Èkìtì ṣùgbọ́n ìbéèrè tí mo fẹ́ béèrè rèé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn èèyàn náà gbà wípé civil service state ní ìpínlẹ̀ Èkìtì jẹ́ pé owó tó sì ń wá látọ̀dọ̀ ìjọba àpapọ̀ owó péréte ni sí àpò ìjọba ìpínlẹ̀ Èkìtì ó fẹ́ jẹ́ pé òun náà fẹ́ fi máa sanwó oṣù fáwọn aráàlú gan ẹ sì ń sọ ńgbà tẹ́ ń sọ pé ìpínlẹ̀ Èkìtì gan kò sí àwọn nǹkan tí ó jẹ́ pé ó fi lè bóyá ohun àmúlò láti tún fi lè rí owó ọ̀nà owó lérò pé ẹni tó bá tiẹ̀ wá di gómìnà ìpínlẹ̀ Èkìtì lè gbà láti lè tún gbogbo àwọn nǹkan ìṣọ́ láti tún sọ kí ìpínlẹ̀ Èkìtì kó lè bá tún nídàgbàsókè.
tó bá ń tó rà pé owó tó wá látàbújá lè gbẹ́kẹ̀yìn lé tí Èkìtì bá jẹ́ orílẹ̀-èdè ara ẹ̀ ṣé kò ní jẹun wọn ò ní ṣe nǹkan tó yẹ kán ṣe. ẹ sọ pé torí pé ẹ ní epo rọ̀bì ẹ ní owó kan tẹ́ ń bọ̀ látàbújá ẹ gbọ́dọ̀ ronú láti ní ọ̀nà tí ẹ máa fi ní owó ti yín fún ara yín. oríṣiríṣi ọ̀nà lẹ́nu fi lè ṣe tí ẹ bá ń ronú ẹ̀ lọ́sàn-án lóru ẹ rí ọ̀nà àbáyọ. èmi mo sọ bẹ́ẹ̀ ẹ rí ọ̀nà àbáyọ. láti ronú pé a lè ṣe kínní ẹ jẹ́ ká fọkàn wá sí i ṣùgbọ́n tó bá fẹ́ náwó ẹ pé kò sí nǹkan tí mo lè ṣe ó parí náà nìyẹn.
àmọ́ yí dúrà náà lójú kan.
àmọ́ yí lójú kan náà nìyẹn. ṣùgbọ́n tí ẹ bá wo ẹ bá rò pé a lè tún nǹkan ṣe a lè ṣe báyìí a lè ṣe oríṣiríṣi nǹkan. jẹ́ kí n sọ kínní kan fún ẹ nígbà tí àwọn òyìnbó wà níbí ọ̀nà mélòó ni wọ́n ń ta ọ̀dà sí kò sí free education kò sí free health àwọn òyìnbó ni wọ́n sọ pé owó tẹ̀yìn ní náà làbá yín manage ẹnìkan bí Awólọ́wọ̀ dẹ̀ dé gbogbo ọ̀nà ó gbé dé gbogbo ìlú tó wà ní gbogbo western region dé Àsàbà ọ̀nà ẹ̀ tó ṣe ń gbà yẹn kí wọ́n ta gbogbo ọ̀nà dé gbogbo villages ní owó tó bá ń bẹ̀ náà lọ́dọ̀ àwọn òyìnbó kò complain ó sọ fún àwọn òyìnbó pé mo fẹ́ ṣe free education mo fẹ́ ṣe free health ó fi scholarship 200 lọ sí abroad kòkó tí nígbà tí ó tó dé gbogbo owó tí àwọn èèyàn rí ní kòkó torí àwọn èèyàn kọ́ bí ara sí bí kan ṣiṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ yẹn dáadáa òun ó encourage wọn lọ́nà púpọ̀ mẹ́wàá ni àwọn èèyàn bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí produce kòkó owó dẹ̀ bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí wọlé ọ̀kẹ́rẹ́tì Ìkẹjà industrial estate ọ̀kẹ́rẹ́tì Ìdúpéjú industrial estate ọ̀kẹ́rẹ́tì Sọ̀lọ̀ industrial estate ó bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ṣe gbogbo wọn yẹn àwọn yẹn náà mówó wá industry gbogbo tó wà ń gbà yẹn ti kú sí kò dẹ̀ sí industry tẹ́lẹ̀ tó bá náwó ẹ̀ tó sọ pé o lè rí nǹkan ṣe o ní iṣẹ́ náà ní excuse kó máa sọ náà ló wá máa ṣe pé owó tó wá láti Àbújá kéré àwọn civil servant àti gbá gbogbo ẹ̀. You can't make Ekiti a civil servant state. It's not
work.
It cannot work, and it's shameful to even describe it that way. What will the civil servants be running? Which administration? What will they be running? Because there's nothing. You are asking them to be idle because civil servants can be more effective when economic activities are going on everywhere, so that they can now regulate it. They can have administration. They bring. They then have the administrative control of all those things. But if that is not actually going on, everybody will be idle, including the civil servants. So to call a state a civil servant state, a civil service state, is very derogatory and very sad. And we need to go beyond that. Because what will the civil servant be doing? What will do with their productivity? It is when we are building estates here now, we are doing economic activities here, that civil servant will have work to do. Then they will go and bring government regulation. This is how
supervision and the rest of it.
Supervision and all that. Lay out places, do things. Where there's nothing going on.
Just sit down and consume.
What does civil servant do?
Well, if you're just tuning in, it's some 7 minutes or so that we have left on the program. It's a special 60-minute session with Prince Adedayo Adeyeye, an aspirant of the All Progressives Congress, a former minister. Latest role, in recent time, you've been associated with a group known as SWAGA, which is an acronym for Southwest Agenda 2023. You're the national coordinator, and would like to hear you expand on the initiative and what it is meant to achieve in the long and the short term.
Yeah, the initiative is born out of the fact that we realized that by 2023, President Muhammadu Buhari will wind up,
yes,
and come to the end of his tenure in anywhere. is that the power should rotate back to the
South.
And we thought that the power is coming back to the south. We have not done microzone such that we say, okay, it's going to southeast, southwest, or southwest. What we have is just this general rotation between the north and the south. So some of us in the southwest now felt that if it's coming to the south, why can't we in the southwest compete for it? And that is where sense of forming swagger. And then we look at, do we have somebody in the southwest that is capable of actually occupying that position and making a difference in the life of Nigerians? And we came to the conclusion that we have somebody, and that person is actually Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And that was why we then decided to propagate this idea to say the presidency will come to the southwest, and if it is coming to the southwest, we have a qualified person who can occupy that position. A person who, because we expect other aspirants to come from the other zones of the south, we are looking for somebody who will be more than capable of defeating them in any primary or any challenge, and that is the person we decided to support.
Well, we know that the groundswell of discussions across platforms was to the effect that swagger sounded more like another political group or political platform or political party. In fact, it was spoken along the same lines that the APC was spoken about, and we wonder.
No, swagger is not a political party. Swagger is a movement, it's a group, a caucus within the APC. And that is quite legitimate to have such in a political party. So swagger is totally part and parcel of APC. It's not a separate movement. It's part and parcel of APC. Swagger is within the APC.
Ìbéèrè tí mo fẹ́ béèrè lélẹ̀ kó tó di pé a máa lọ torí àsìkò wa tí a bá wo ìpínlẹ̀ Èkìtì àwọn èèyàn tó wà ń bẹ̀ ó fẹ́ tó bí mílíọ̀nù 3 gẹ́gẹ́ bí àkọọ́lẹ̀ tí a rí, ṣùgbọ́n tó bá di pé àwọn èèyàn fẹ́ dìbò tó dásìkò òdìbò ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn èèyàn ní jáde lásìkò òdìbò tó bá lọ ka ìbò ìpínlẹ̀ Èkìtì bí ìbò gómìnà tó kọjá kò tó 500,000 nínú èèyàn 3 million ní ìpínlẹ̀ Èkìtì. Ojú wo lẹ́yìn fi wọlé? Ṣé a lè sọ pé bóyá ètò òṣèjọba tí àwọn èèyàn ń wò nípínlẹ̀ Èkìtì pé ìpínlẹ̀ Èkìtì wọn bóyá ètò ìdàgbàsókè ò dáa kò jáde tó ló ń fà táwọn èèyàn fi ń sún sẹ́yìn lẹ́ka ètò òṣèlú?
Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ nǹkan ni mi ò gbà pé àwọn èèyàn ń sún sẹ́yìn náà bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn. Àwọn èèyàn jáde tó láti dìbò ṣùgbọ́n mi gbà pé àwọn èèyàn sún sẹ́yìn bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn. Ìkan tí ẹ kọ́kọ́ máa bèèrè lọ́wọ́ ara yín ni pé ṣé òótọ́ ni a tó 3 million? Àkọ́kọ́ bèèrè yẹn lọ́wọ́ ara yín.
Àìlérò pé kò tó bẹ́ẹ̀.
Mi ò mọ̀, mo ń bèèrè ni, ẹ bèèrè lọ́wọ́ ara yín ṣé òótọ́ ni. Nígbà tí mo dé subeb tí mo jẹ́ chairman, iye àwọn ọmọ tó ń wà ní ilé ìwé tó ń gbé fún mi tó ń sọ pé oúnjẹ wà, mo wò mo ní àwọn ọmọ tó wà ní ilé ìwé tí lè yìí mo bá sọ pé gbogbo àwọn ọmọ yẹn mo fẹ́ kà wọ́n ní inú kíláàsì wọn á gbé rẹ́jísítà jáde wọ́n á dẹ̀ máa kà wọ́n gbogbo Èkìtì mo ṣe gẹ́gẹ́ àkúrẹ́ tù tó ìkọ́ tá à ń sọ kò tó dájẹ́.
Ìfira yín rẹ̀ láti ṣe.
Mo dẹ̀ wá torí mo láti lè plan lórí nǹkan tó wà nílẹ̀ tó bá ní correct figure ò lè plan. Nǹkan tí mo kọ́kọ́ ṣe nìyẹn. Nǹkan tí mo ṣe nìyẹn mo fi kọ́ story building mo bẹ̀rẹ̀ tí mo ṣe oríṣiríṣi mo ti mọ nǹkan tí a ní tí a need. So mi ò mọ̀ bóyá a tó nǹkan tá à ń sọ àbí a tó bẹ́ẹ̀. Mo kọ́kọ́ fẹ́ ká mọ̀ yẹn. Kì í ṣe ìjọba àpapọ̀ nìkan ló lè ṣe census. State fúnra rẹ̀ lè ka àwọn èèyàn tí kò lè fi ṣe planning. Kò sí ìdíwọ́ bẹ́ẹ̀. Fún ara ẹ̀ ló kàn fi mọ̀ sínú ara ẹ̀ pé mo fẹ́ ka àwọn wáyé. Torí bàtà wa ti ṣe ti gbogbo yẹn oníkálùkù ló ń fi nǹkan kún kábàá lè sọ pé mo pọ̀ tó tí wọ́n bá fẹ́ pín owó ara ẹ̀ náà lọ́ fi ń pín. Ṣùgbọ́n o lè wá ṣe tiẹ̀ nínú lábẹ́nú kò mọ̀ sínú ẹ̀ nǹkan báyìí. Nígbà tí mo mọ̀ tèmi yẹn mo mọ̀ sínú mi nǹkan tó dẹ̀ correct mo mọ̀ sínú mi. Mi ò gbé sí gbòòrò, mi ò gbé sínú pépà, mi ò gbé sí afẹ́fẹ́, mi ò sọ pé nǹkan tí àwọn ọmọ iléèwé tí mo ní nìyí o mo mọ̀ sínú mi. Mo láti mọ̀ kí n lè mọ̀ mo ṣe máa plan. So number 2 ni pé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ apáṣẹ ń sọ̀rọ̀ látàárọ̀ tí àwọn èèyàn bá gbà pé ìjọba ò kàn wọ́n tí ò kan ayé wọn tí wọ́n rí kí ni wọ́n dìbò fún? ẹlòmíì pàápàá tó bá tẹ̀ wá lọ dìbò ń gan owó ló fẹ́ gbà á ní ilé náà nìkan ló máa rí fọ́dún 4 fún gbogbo ilé kó máa lọ. mo fẹ́ bẹ̀ àwọn èèyàn kan máa ní irú èrò bẹ́ẹ̀ mọ́ tìyẹn ló ní jẹ́ kí gọ́ọ̀mẹ̀ntì máa ṣe dáadáa. ṣùgbọ́n ìgbà tẹ́túngbẹ́ lòmí ẹni tí ò ṣe dáadáa ẹni burúkú síbẹ̀ àtúmàṣe ẹ̀ tún ní rí ìjọba tó tẹ́ yín lọ́rùn. nígbà táwọn Awólọ́wọ̀ wà ń bẹ̀ àwọn èèyàn lọ ń dáwó fún pátì wọ́n ń dáwó fún pátì nísìnyí kí ló ń ṣẹlẹ̀ àwọn pọ̀síṣà ló ń lọ́wọ́ fáwọn èèyàn so kò yẹ kó rí torí àwọn èèyàn bìlí pé àṣe tí wọ́n mọ́ wọ́n bìlí pé àṣe tí wọ́n mọ́ ara wa là ń sìn kò yẹ rí bẹ́ẹ̀ kò yẹ kó rí bẹ́ẹ̀ mo ń bẹ̀ àwọn èèyàn wa wọ́n jẹ́ ká gbá àwọn tó fẹ́ sin ìlú síbẹ̀ tó fẹ́ ṣe dáadáa
kọ́ máa jẹun tí ó jẹ̀lú
kó jẹun tó máa jẹun tó jẹ̀lú so ìyẹn ló lè ràn wá lọ́wọ́ táwọn èèyàn fi máa jáde tá fi máa dìbò láì gba owó láì gba kankan tí wọ́n á dẹ̀ máa tí ara wọn tá a máa le má gbàgbé pé ní state wa yìí ní 1983 tí wọ́n ní wọ́n yìbò àwọn èèyàn láti pa ara wọn kú sí o torí wọ́n gbà nínú ara wọn pé ìjọba tẹ́ fẹ́ lé lọ yẹn òun ló ń sìn wá tó gbé tó jẹ́ kọ́ wọn lọ iléèwé tó jẹ́ kọ́ ní ìwòsàn ọ̀fẹ́ tó jẹ́ kọ́ ní gbogbo nǹkan wọ́n ní wọn nígbà tó bá nísìnyí ṣe irú ẹ̀ ṣẹlẹ̀ mọ́.
Well, thank you, dear listeners.
Ekiti people, God has specially created us. We have had tremendous achievements in the past. Our forefathers laid very good foundations for us. They fought a war to free themselves from slavery and colonialism, imperialism within the Yoruba race. For 16 years, they fought that war, and they were victorious. And we have always maintained unity in this state, and we have been lucky. We are lucky, especially to have been created as a state, but we have not achieved our potentials as a state. I want to appeal to you that I have the passion to develop the state. I have the wherewithal, the experience, and the most important is the commitment, the honesty of purpose to develop the state. I want the people of the state to give me that chance. My party first, and then the people of the state. And I promise that I will serve you diligently and the best way you have never experienced before. Thank you very much.
A former Minister of State for Works in the country and a former Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Prince Adedayo Adeyeye. It's been a pleasure to have you this past hour.